everyone, I'm Brian with Playing for Second, and over the last week or two, I've gotten in my pledge for Cloudspire Harbinger, and I figured, you know what, let's take a look at all the expansions, the big boxes, the books, everything I got. We're going to take a look. Join me at the table. Let's get after it. All right, no reason here to see my face, so I took that camera and it is to the side of me, and I'll be using that kind of as a camera that has a little bit closer view for some of this stuff. So my plan is to open up everything and then also probably do a reboxing because I want to figure out how everything goes into this storage container as well. So this came with 3 relics as well. And I don't remember from the campaign if these are promos, if these are errata, if these were gifts for backing the campaign. But it does come with these 3. Might as well show them off a little bit here. I'm not going to show everything off, by the way. It's just I'll probably show a few things and the stuff that I think looks cool from the expansions, I guess I should say. And then a lot of the minis are new to me. I got the mini box that had all of them in there. I resisted, and then when they sent the last email about, hey, last chance to late pledge anything, I'm like, all right. And I ended up getting the minis, which are 100% unnecessary. Okay, let's dive into Harbinger here. We're going to do all of these small boxes first. I will put timestamps for each expansion in the description / on the video. So if you don't want to see one thing and want to see something else, cool, go right to it. Okay, so here is our Harbinger. The solo scenarios. I did get the hardcover books, so I think some of what is in here, if not all of what is in here, is going to be in the hardcover books, which we are also going to take a look at. But there's the Harbinger rules, all the tiles. Okay, there are all of your fortresses. Looks like we're up to 10 factions. I really got into this game right as when this expansion was up on crowdfunding. I decided to finally actually play Cloudspire a decent amount to see if I liked it enough to back all the stuff, and I most certainly did. So if you watched our top 10 solo videos, this is in my top 10. Yeah, I'm not going to go too far into this, just kind of showing it off. Spiral bound, very nice, and only got bent a little bit in this box here. All right. Product safety warnings, you know, don't eat the chips, stuff like that. Okay. Looks like we've got some new tiles, some new chips. Let's start off with the chips. Okay, I took the chips out of the packaging. That took me longer than I care to admit. They're packaged and they're wrapped pretty well. So we will now go ahead and take a look at these. There are some different types here of, I don't know, some type of marker. We'll throw some up here on the cameras. There's 4 of each of those guys. And then there looks to be a whole bunch of new, I don't remember what they're called, but a lot of these new, the chips that go on the map. Nope. That's not double-sided. It just was facing the wrong way. The other way, I guess. This is, I should mention, this is the content expansion. So it is adding, obviously, more content. Whereas the other expansions are faction expansions. So they are 3 new factions in those expansions. So yeah, I mean, decent amount content-wise here. How about that? 24 new, whatever these things are called that I cannot remember. Very cool. And yeah, I mean, I'll throw a couple of them up here so you can see, but they look, you know, pretty good. They look the same as they did in the previous versions, which is good. It's important to match these colors. You know, when any company that's doing a bunch of expansions, you want it to look the same way if it's supposed to be the same thing. I remember when the Mage Knight, one of the expansions for Mage Knight came out, and the tiles were not the same. And that was, yeah, that was pretty awesome. All right. Some of these also not facing the same way, which is all right. I'm gonna stack them like poker chips though. Looks like 26 of these. These, I believe, are your market chips, things that you can purchase from the market. A few examples of those. Again, from my memory, they look pretty good in terms of matching what they used to look like. Very cool. Okay. Also in that bag, we got ourselves some new neoprene map tiles. Okay. Right here. One, looks like one small one and 3 large ones. There's going to be a way to open this. I can almost guarantee it. Hey-oh! Okay. There's our first one. And somewhere on here, an extremely tiny, there it is, I think. Yeah. So this is tile 29. This small one here is tile 35. So that's how many we're up to. Not that there's a lot to show off on the small tile, but there it is on the camera. And then tile 30 there, which again, this looks good for, you know, for it being printed on neoprene. That's kind of Chip Theory's whole thing, right? They use chips, they use neoprene. It's easier, certainly, to print on things that are not neoprene, but that's what they do. Cool. That is everything from the Harbinger expansion. And super easy to fit back in the box. Excellent. All right, and as I mentioned, I will probably cut here, and we're going to bring in the Shada Faction expansion. All right, here we are, back with the Shada Faction expansion, which, go ahead and take a look. Okay. All right, some more scenarios, which again, I believe are going to be in the hardcovers that we're looking at later. If you don't have the hardcovers, though, you would just play through these scenarios. Let's see. It looks like there are 4 solo and 2 co-op scenarios in the book here. And again, I'm just going to quickly leaf through it. I don't want to give, there is some story in here. Not sure how many people are playing this because of the story or they don't want to get anything spoiled, but I don't want to ruin it for those people. So, very cool art as well. Nothing really on the back there. Some more advice about not eating all the stuff that's in here, which is, you know, pretty solid advice, I suppose. Cool. Okay, grab these things out and let's take a look. First here we have their fortress. Which looks pretty neat. Elemental fulcrum there. I don't know what any of this stuff does. I have not looked at this campaign, I don't think, since I backed it. Well, that's not true. I looked at it again to get the minis, but otherwise, I've primarily spent money and not actually looked into anything here. But I do like the art on this quite a bit. And again, looks pretty good on the neoprene. The one thing I've never really liked about these, and I actually ended up 3D printing some counters, is the source and the health. The little, I think this little tiny thing right here, I'm not even sure how well it's showing up on the camera, is where you're supposed to turn the chip to designate how much health and how much source you have. To me, that's sometimes harder than the game, is trying to figure out, okay, where am I supposed to move my health and my source? So at first I bought little gems for the source, but I ended up just 3D printing blue and red counters, little counter marker things to life counters effectively, to mark those for future plays, because it's just going to be easier than trying to do that. And that might just be a me problem. Okay, looks like we have a card here for some additional rules for minion promotion, spires, and minions. Very neat. Fusions, it says. Fire and wind, stone and wind. So it looks like they're going to be doing some fusion. Makes sense. All right. Actually, you know what? Before we move on, let me show off. I think I can get at least some of this on the camera. I'm not sure how well this is all going to show up here, but we might as well use this camera that's sitting here. So there is their fortress. Again, I think it looks pretty cool. Pretty well done. All right. And then we've got, obviously, their player aid here. Feel free to pause and read anything you want to read. I'm not going to go through every single one. And I will throw it up on the camera. Again, my camera's kind of zoomed in a little too much. I'll do a little slow pan here. So if you do want to read anything in particular, maybe it's showing up. It might not be. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know. But here's some of their characters. Hopefully that's slow enough that if you're interested and if you want to, you can just pause the camera and take a look at those. All right, I am going to break again so that you don't have to watch me on the struggle bus trying to open up these chips. All right, I am back. I did it. First try and everything. You can't prove otherwise. All right, looks like they have a couple dice here. Throw those up there with some different sides on them for all of your dice needs here. Looks like some trees, maybe, mountains, different things like that. Let's see here, try to separate their factions here real quick on their non-upgraded side. Well, actually, there is wind, and the upgraded side of wind is dust, which is pretty neat. And then we've got fission. Here's another wind, but on the upgraded side of that wind is hurricane. Here's the upgraded side of fission. I said I wasn't going to show everything off, but I think the chips I will. Ash, and then on the other side of ash is fire. And then that is just their faction chip, or whatever that's called. I'm really just looking at the ones that are completely different on the opposite side. So for instance, this one on one side is fire, and on the other side is lava. So some pretty neat mechanics going on here. Here's another one. You have water on one side, steam on the other, stone on one side, mud on the other. All right, and this one is just Tempest on both sides. But I believe that is one of the heroes, the gold banner there. I believe. It's been a while since I have played this one. Okay, and then we've got, you might have already seen stone. That's mud on the opposite side. And then we'll take a look. There is their stone spire. And a water tower. Pillar of fire. And what is that? Wind shear on the other side. So those are their spires. Very cool. All right. So that is the Shada. That's pretty neat. All right, I'm going to grab the next expansion, and I will be right back. All right, next we have the Keel Faction expansion here. Little bat creature on the cover, or bat-looking creature. I did pre-cut it so that I don't make a fool of myself trying to take this off. Crushed it. All right. And there's their scenario book. And just quick leaf through. I don't know if the number of solo and cooperative are going to be the same. It looks like 4 solo and 2 cooperative. So yeah, I think that's pretty consistent throughout for them. Okay, and we will take a look at their fortress first. And then if we can get the player aid out, there we go. Okay, this one looks neat, but not as cool as the last one, in my opinion. I like the bright colors on the last one. All right, so there is their fortress. They have a void turbine down here, amplification plant. I can speak, I promise. Void armory, demolition plant. That sounds cool. Let's go ahead and throw this up on the camera here. Again, I don't know. It'll probably get cut off, possibly on the sides as well as the top and bottom a little bit, but you'll be able to see the most of it there. Pretty neat. All right. And then again, here is their player aid, and I'll just kind of leave this there for a sec if you wanted to pause and look at all the cool stuff that they are doing. Put that over there as well for the same purpose. Okay, and then we will throw it again on the camera. I'll just try to go slow. Maybe see these again if you're interested. If you're not, it's over. There we go. Cool. Okay. So again, I am going to pause and come back with chips that are out of the little plastic wrap. All right. And we are back with chips that are friendly to show you folks. All right. A couple of dice here. We'll throw these up on the camera. This one here's reminding me of Too Many Bones. It's got some numbers on there. A couple different symbols on this guy. Pretty cool little marbling effect. Pretty neat. All right, and then we're going to show these off here. There is only one demolitionist. So there's the first side. And there's the second side. Pretty cool art on that one. And then this guy here is the Echo Scout and the back of the Echo Scout. Pretty neat. Shadow Magistrate and the back or upgraded side of the Shadow Magistrate. The Line Runner and the back of the Line Runner. Chips look good. I forget which, there was something, it might have been a Too Many Bones expansion. This is Clutch and the back of Clutch. There was an expansion where I think they switched manufacturers or something like that, and they had some issues, but these look pretty good so far. And lastly, for these anyway, is the Sky Fox in the back of the Sky Fox. All right, now we've got the heroes. Flitter, General Echo, and Chira? Don't know. And their upgraded size. That purple in the back for them is pretty cool. I like that. For not just these guys, but there's a couple of other ones that had them as well. Then they have their just general, I think that's the targeting chip or something like that. And lastly, their spires. Outpost, back of the outpost. And they've got a source grinder and an artillery. Cool. All right. So yeah, that is the Keel. I'm trying to go through these relatively quickly. You all got stuff to do. I get it. Plus, I kind of want to get through this so that I can maybe play this again. All right. I will be back, and we are going to be next taking a look at the Graft All right, and this is the last faction expansion that was part of the Harbinger campaign. Harbinger, however you say it. The Graft, again, pretty cool art, I think, on the cover. Colorful. Making a bit of a mess. Okay. Yep, 4 more solo scenarios, 2 more co-op scenarios. All your scenarios, your charts. Little bit of story, not as much that's in the hardcover. That's why I got the hardcover. Don't know if I'm even going to like the story. I tend to not like most stories in games. I'm a reader, so I would rather just go read an actual, like a published novel, as opposed to the stories that are in most board games. But that's a me thing. All right, and as we have the last one, we will start off with the Fortress, which again is nice and colorful, kind of like the Shada. Cool. Gene Shaper, Membrane Barrier, Mutagenic Furnace, Graft Port. Very neat. Quite colorful. I like that. We'll throw this up on the camera here. Again, some of it's probably cut off just because I was zoomed in more for the chips and potential cards. So far, though, other than those first 3 relics and just rules, no extra cards. There's not a lot of cards in this game to begin with, but all right. Speaking of cards, though, we do have some additional rules for the Graft. I will throw this up on the camera here real quick, too, in case you're curious. Again, feel free to pause. I'm not going to read through it or anything like that. Just kind of leave it up there long enough that if you want to take a look at what is pretty unique about them, I'm sure that is going to be on the card. All right. We'll come back to the overhead here. This is their player aid. Very neat. And the other side with all of their chips that we will take a look at here shortly. And I will attempt to run, I guess, this over. I'm not sure. I don't think I did this on the last one, but in case you're curious as to what their Fortress can do, feel free to pause. Take a look at that. The other side is the chips, which I'm going to show off those individually anyway, actually. So just like the last couple times, I'm going to go ahead and pause here and come back to chips that are already opened. All right, we are back, and I really like the pink color on these. That's very bright, vibrant. Again, 2 dice, as you have. We'll throw those up there. One just appears to be a counter, and the other one has different symbols that are very close to the same symbol. Same color palette, which is pretty cool. And then they've got a new counter, so they must have some type of resource outside of HP and source that you have to keep track of there. And then their little target chip as well. Oops. Cool. And then we'll get into the False Messiah and the Spitting Worm, just one of each of those. Take a look at the backs as well. And actually, the False Messiah, that has a symbol on it. Well, the back does anyway. For the terrain that they can go on, which is cool. Next, we have the Grafted Joust. And the back of the Grafted Joust. And we've got the Grafted Aegis and the back of the Grafted Aegis. Rotten Worms. And their last minion, Grafted Briar. Cool. All right, next we will go with, I believe these are their heroes. Nucleus, Graft King Nestor, and the Fury Worm. That's a fun one. And of course, we'll show off the backs as well, the upgraded side. Those. All right, and then last, certainly not least, we have their spires. Mitochondria. On the reverse side, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, and cytosol. It's the opposite side of those there. Cool, cool. All right, so that is the Graft, which again is the last of the small expansions. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hardcover books. So I'm going to get those things out of their plastic so you don't have to listen to that, and I'll be right back. All right, and we have our 3 volumes here of the story of Cloudspire. Volume 1 is The Joining War, Volume 2 is Ankar's Plunder, and Volume 3 is Harbinger. Now, this is the only new one. They're all new to me. I didn't have any of them yet, but the first 2 you may already have in your collection. I got to say, I love the sprayed edges. Those look pretty awesome. And the books themselves, very well bound. Oh yeah, you can hear the pages coming apart for the first time. Oh boy. And yeah, this is basically all just the scenarios for each expansion effectively. So this was kind of the first wave, wave 2, and then the Harbinger, of course, being the ones that we just opened. So these have all of your solo scenarios in here, as well as a little more story. And then there's a note on the expansion content, so I'll probably tell you a little bit more about it here. And let's see here. So there should be some more story, even if it's only, oh yeah, looks like it's going through the rules. I think the first scenario kind of walks you through it to teach you the game, a whole bunch of keywords. Yeah, but even if it is only a place to, yeah, I believe that's more story than what was in the original book. Even if it's only a place to hold all of the scenarios in one spot, for me, well worth it. Just that way, if you want to continue on, you don't have to go and try to find where those are at, and I can just throw these on a bookshelf. But yeah, more the same really with these other ones too. It's just story, scenarios. Again, these you don't need. This stuff is for the most part already provided with all of the expansions. There's just, looks like there's some more art in here perhaps, and a little more story, and everything just in one location, as opposed to all of these scenario books that come with each individual expansion that we just looked at. All right. So there we go. So there are those. Pretty excited to dig into those. I don't know how far I'm going to get, but this is one that I haven't played on the channel yet. I would like to play it on the channel. And I don't know how much of it I will actually record to put on the channel. Okay, next we have the big boxes, and I have to figure out how exactly I am going to show those. So I'm going to do another cut here, and when we come back, we'll all figure out together how I did it. So we'll be right back. All right, for the minis expansion, I'm just going to keep the top down and the camera where they are because I do want to show off the minis. Again, most of these I don't think are new for people except for the Wave 3 stuff that are in here. I ended up getting just the big storage box that came with all 3 volumes of minis. So we're going to open this and take a look. Okay, get that out of the way. Hopefully this is still on camera, I think. And you've got little holes here on the side, and there's 2 I'm going to push the box a little bit. Two little drawers, basically, that come out. And you have all of your minis packed in here. Looks to be pretty well. And I'm just going to show off one of each, I think. I just got these today, and where I live, it is quite cold out there. And yeah, these are pretty cold to the touch. All right, even has, that's pretty cool. I like that for the packing to put that in there. So let's go ahead and throw this one up on the camera. I assume this is for the Graft. I imagine they are all color-coded. I do not remember all the colors for all of the previous factions, but yeah, this one, being that it's pink, got its top there for your chips. Well, there's the top for your chips. Fit right in there. And yeah, I was thinking of painting these, but honestly, if they're color-coded like that, I might not. I also might not, because I think about painting a lot and then don't paint. I'm sure I'm not the only one that does that. Okay. There we go. This one's kind of neat as well. From the top down, and then we'll throw it on the camera. So again, this is really just if you're trying to figure out, well, do I need those? No, you don't. This is just table presence for, you know, when I solo this by myself, I'm going to look at the table and be like, yeah, I purchased those intentionally. All right, that's cool. This one's worth it. Never mind. I take everything back. Take a look at that. Well, here. Sliding off of my little fan I have here. Neat. Oh, yeah, and there is some. Oh, it goes on the bottom apparently. Very cool. All right. Oh, that one's pretty cool as well. Not sure how great it's showing up on the top down, but I figured I might as well show the top down before we go to the smaller camera. Why not? Set up. Yeah, and this one, I'm just going to hold and rotate because there's a lot of stuff going on with this guy. And of course, you know, you got put your chips on the top. Pretty neat. All right. Oh, that's neat. Just look like a big cauldron or something. Looks like what they would, the torch you would light in like Lord of the Rings to signal, hey, we need help over here. Send more humans. Cool. All right, and there is, as I mentioned, another drawer. Oh boy, lost it. Okay. Yep, also packed quite well. Oh boy, these are short comparatively. I think these are the older ones, but again, pretty neat. Yeah, it's some type of creature. The top down is probably not seeing these very well. Hopefully this camera is. Got the tree back there. And then his arms and legs is how it stands on the board. Very cool. Oh boy. Oh no. I've ruined everything. Fixed it. Ish. Okay. Very cool there. Again, I'm showing it off to the top down. Hopefully it looks all right on that. If not, this is all just going to be the side camera. So when I'm showing to the top down, there'll be nothing there, and I apologize. This one looks pretty cool. I like how the, I assume it's supposed to do that anyway. Yeah, oh, it's partially lifted up there. Those are pretty thin. I mean, they work. Cool, cool. 3 more here. At least I think 3 more. That would be 10, though. Oh, boy. Okay. Even though they're 100% unnecessary, these are pretty neat. I'm going to have to look online, BGG, or just, I guess, Google Images to see if people did paint them and what they decided to do with them. Because there are a lot of people out there very good at that. I am not one of those people. All right, another one here. Cool. And our last little compartment. Yep. Oh, wow. Presumably that's supposed to be flames? Maybe? I don't know if it's flames or just some type of tree, brush, plant. I don't know. But pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So that is the minis expansion, as well as the storage box for it. Oh, and I have a piece of this left over, which maybe goes here. Don't know. All right. There. That's where it goes now. Okay. So yeah, there's, I think that should be back in camera. It's got art on all the sides. And then you can probably see here, I don't know. Hopefully the camera stayed in focus for that, but easy to pull out with these the holes that they have on there. Cool. All right, we're going to grab the storage solution now, the big box, and take a look at that, and then attempt, I think, to put everything, all of my content into it, or at least show off what goes where in there. I'm hoping there's a piece of paper that helps me with that. So I will be right back, and we will do that. All right, we are back. And first and foremost, when you get this, if you have not already done so, just be careful when you're opening it, because the little magnetic key door opener thing, if you've got the trove chest for Too Many Bones, it's very, very similar. It's cool looking, but this is in the packaging. So it's this thing is in 2 pieces of foam, and this is on one of the sides in the packaging. So just make sure, I'll put it on the camera here too, because it is pretty cool. But just make sure, check your packaging itself, the actual foam packaging, so that you have this on there, in there, because that is how you're going to open these drawers, I imagine, assuming, again, it's like the trove chest for Too Many Bones. So, okay, let's get in here. All right, free piece of cardboard. All right. The bottom of mine already has some paper torn off of it, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I get it. It's very large. Okay. Cool. All right. So you've got kind of a cloud up top there. Checks out. And then on this side, you have some pretty cool art. Even on the bottom, which again, I got some paper torn off on the edges already. Right on the other side. And then the back. Also has some pretty cool art. Very neat. And then the front, I'm going just going to push this back a bit. It slides up just like the trove chest. And then the Cloudspire symbol there is right on top. Very cool. We'll set that to the side for now. And then, yeah, there are 5 drawers in here, and you need this thing because they should be magnetic, and it pulls them right out. Like so. So yeah, just make sure you are checking your packaging for this guy here. So yeah, that works very well. That was just empty. And no, I am not seeing anything that helps us actually determine what goes where. Let's see what we got here though. We do have, okay, this looks to be for, I think that's the Brahmin. Oh boy. Chip theory sometimes just kind of throws things in here, assuming that you're going to use them for something. Like, I don't know what this is supposed to hold. Maybe just the little pegs that go into the fortresses. There's another chip holder. But again, I'm not 100% sure why we need the chip holders, because I thought it was supposed to come so that every faction had its own little holder that you would then just pull out if you wanted to play that faction. Currently that is all that is in here. The top one is just empty. This presumably is rule books, and probably just rule books, to be honest. It's not very tall. All right, here is more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, so every faction gets one. I guess we might as well just take them out. Maybe this is just the organization preference that I have, but to have 7 in here and then 3 in a different area, I don't know, it annoys me more than anything else. I'm sure I'll get over it. Matter of fact, I might have already gotten over it. It's just weird. Okay. Okay. And slides right back in. This does look like it will fit in a calyx, however you pronounce it. I don't know. All right, there's 2 more here. And again, this one is empty, and it is slightly different size. All right, these will fit in there. Okay, so I guess here is where my mistake was. I thought, from when I backed it, I thought every faction was going to have one of these, and you were just going to be able to go and grab this, and then you're ready to play. Apparently not. There are 4 in here. Yeah, there are 4 in here, which means you have to go grab your faction's little tube of chips, and then you have to put the tube of chips in this thing. Which, again, that's probably, I'm sure that is what they said, but for whatever reason, when I saw this for the first time, I thought, yeah, one of these for every faction would be awesome. We can just go grab this and you are ready to play. That's not what we have here. Okay. All right, I ended up organizing all my stuff and I got it all in here. So let's go ahead and take a look and I will show you how I did it. Again, I'm not sure this is necessarily, you can do it your own way, because if there's one thing I discovered while doing this, it is that this is in fact a storage solution, not an organization solution. So let's go ahead and start with the bottom left drawer. Now this is the one that just had these things in there, and that's really all that's going to fit in here. So there's 4 of those in that bottom left drawer, and that's all I have in there. Bottom right is where not all the chips are, because all the chips won't fit there, but I've got 4 containers of chips. My health, the range, and the defense chips here. Some of the like artifact chip stuff like that. And this is just the new pack that was in the Harbinger expansion. That is not all the chips. I was a little disappointed that all the chips don't fit in the same thing. That's why I'm saying it's it stores it all. It doesn't organize it all. All right, and then kind of in the middle here, the biggest box. So you've got your three of your 10 factions. And then I've got, this is where I put, this is what from one of the other either expansions or base game, but these are just the little pegs. I already had this, so I don't know. Maybe not everybody has this, because for the life of me, I do not know. This little guy came with the box. I don't know what that's for. I didn't find anything to put in there. I tried putting dice in here. I have 7 dice. 6 are the attack dice, and then a d6. And only 6 dice fit in here. And the reason I did that is because, as I pull this out more, I had to leave 7 dice in this thing. I mean, I didn't have to. So I'll probably eventually get rid of this and just put those dice in a, I guess, in a bag or something. I will put them in the provided storage container, which of course was nothing. So I've got my dice in here. These are the final chips here. So some of the landmarks, and then the health and the source, I just kind of put to the side. Let's see here. Push this a little further. All of the neoprene is in here. So the map tiles are on the bottom. The fortresses are here in the middle. And then I don't remember what these little 3 ones are called, but those are right there. And I put the cards right back here. They fit nice. They'd also fit up here, wherever, I mean, whatever your preference is. These will also fit down in here if I didn't have to put my chips there. I could have just put them right down there to kind of make it a little bit more flat, but that's where I put all that stuff. Of course, the one on the right, these are just all of your factions. I also have the dice in here. I didn't see a reason to separate the dice from the factions. We're just throwing the dice chips in those things anyway. So I just threw, I'm sorry, yeah, we're throwing the chips in there. So I just threw the dice right on top. And then up top here is all the rule books. So this is not, these are not the 3 volumes of the hardcover, but all the rule books, they will fit if you kind of weave them back and forth. So put some on this side, put some on this side, and then all of the player aids and the faction aids are also right there. Oh, I forgot to put my 7 dice back in here. All right. And then when you're done, like I said, this just goes right in here. Like so. And yeah, I haven't tried it, but it certainly looks like it will fit in the Calyx. I believe they said it would. And I still got, I mean, I got paper coming right off this thing. So if I'm being honest, a little disappointed in the box. It holds everything. End of my review, I think. So hopefully, I mean, this might help somebody on how to get it in here. It's pretty straightforward how to get it in there. There's really not as much as like with the Too Many Bones Trove chest, which I don't even know if I have all my stuff in there, because I think they came out with some promos after the fact that thing was filled to the gills. So yeah, that is it. This is the Cloudspire storage box unboxing of the Harbinger expansion stuff. So thanks for joining me. We'll catch you next time.